Nico Iamaleava and that team out east sends shockwaves through college football this weekend with NIL. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Into the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Corey Burton. And on this episode, I intended on going into a deeper dive about the black and gold game. If you want my instant reaction, it's here on this channel. My immediate reaction afterward. But I'll do a more deeper dive into it. But Nico Iamaleava and the Tennessee Vols, let's just say they sent shockwaves through college football by Nico the day before the spring game out in Knoxville, decides he wants to hold out for a bigger contract. Tennessee says, not so fast, we're going to move on. So Nico is now going to enter the portal, and Tennessee, well, I don't know what they're going to do at quarterback, but they've got to do something. And we're going to take a hard look at the implications of what happened in Knoxville, because it's going to affect everybody. And it's going to affect the guys at the top. And it's going to affect even on down to Vandy, because Vandy's going to be a big player in the NIL game. So this kind of thing will eventually work itself over to West End. Thankfully, Diego Pavia is a really, really great dude, and I don't think wants to explore other options. Hopefully not at this point, but I think he's all bought in. I think his stuff is taken care of. I think he's in good shape there. So if people had doubt that college football was now a business, well, that became crystal clear. Also, it proves that we need regulation badly, because it's only going to get more crazy, because if you're a good football player, you're going to try to pull the same move as Nico. Why not? Right? And if Nico gets paid, it's worth a shot. So what does this do to Vandy now? Well, besides making the Tennessee game slightly easier, depending on what they do at quarterback. But I think for all future deals, I think, they're going to take a long, hard look at how they structure the wording in whatever written agreement they have, NIL stuff. But also on this episode, Vandy landed a commitment from 3-star defensive back Karaijus Hayes. This adds much needed depth in the defensive backfield at safety, or maybe even possibly the star position. So we'll break him down a little bit. And of course, a deeper dive into Frankie Collins from TCU. I talked about him a little bit in the instant reaction show because I wanted to touch on it, but we'll get into that there. He's a great system fit for Byington's scheme. So I'm going to break down why, and then we're going to wrap trying to figure out how the Vandy boys got blasted out of Norman this weekend. That was brutal, especially the getting run ruled for the first time. What is it about Oklahoma and Vandy just getting filleted by them in the sports? It happened in basketball, now it's happened in baseball. So thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And this episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. So here's the situation, okay? And I think people are just very floored and very surprised, very shocked. And I'm not one of those people that's shocked that this is happening in college football. I think so many people are trying to hold on to the notion that college football has all this tradition, and you get a kid as a freshman and he leaves you as a senior and you get to know everything about him. He gets involved in the community. He buys into the program, all of that good stuff. That is long gone. With NIL, that is long, long gone. And it is now a business. And listen, I want to preface this by saying I am all in favor for these athletes getting paid for what they do. I think it's great. I think it's a good thing that they have free access to the transfer portal. I think there needs to be, I'm going to preview this and say I think there needs to be some guardrails on it, because it'll continue to get out of hand. I think it's great that they can find upward mobility and try to find situations that are great. I mean, our quarterback is a perfect example of that. JUCO to New Mexico State, now to Vanderbilt. He has bettered his situation each and every time. And, you can't fault him for that. But there's got to be a way to go about doing that stuff. And I think this Nico situation just proves that there's a dark side of this NIL and transfer portal and athletes getting paid. There's a dark side to it that's going to affect the university and ultimately probably affect Nico or any athlete that decides to get in that situation, because it's going to be interesting because there's no precedent set for this. So we don't know if Nico's going to suffer from this or not. We have no idea, but all eyes are definitely on Nico Iamaleava. And just when I start to finally pronounce his name right, I'm going to have to learn UT's new quarterback. And I think they're going to have to learn who their new quarterback is as well. I don't think they know either. So this is going to be interesting and this is going to be crazy. But here's a few of the implications you can read ahead. I'm going to address each of these points. But college football is now a business more than ever, and now should be treated as such. And I'll address both of these points because they kind of interweave with each other. But until there's regulation, this will continue to spiral out of control. Okay, and with it being more of a business, I think there's got to be express contracts written. I think there's got to be something more within the university and within these collectives that if you're going to pay these guys ungodly amounts of money, there's got to be some safety rails, some guardrails, so that this kid can't just dip out on you if he wants more and you're not giving it to him. Like, there's got to be some sort of thing. There's a reason why there's a lot of guys that don't try these lengthy holdouts in the NFL, because the NFL is very cutthroat. And that's what college football is going to become. It's going to become a cutthroat business. And I think Tennessee making this first move, then not caving, may end up being a good thing for it, because I think, what makes it so good in the NFL, what makes it so effective in the NFL is that when you do hold out, you have to be careful that the other team sees you as a commodity, because there's a lot of times where teams are like, okay, hold out, see what happens, right? Le'Veon Bell tried to hold out from the Steelers, sat out all season, was never the same, had to retire after a year. Melvin Gordon went through a very humiliating holdout with the Chargers, came back, wasn't the same, ends up leaving, gets I think they just let his contract expire. He gets into free agency, goes to the Broncos, has a couple of decent seasons, but nothing like what he was right before he held out. And the team called his bluff, and he thought he could get a better situation, and he didn't. And so, they just, hey, it's on to the next, because with the portal populating the way it is, like guys wanting to get in the portal for better opportunity, more playing time. I want to jump from FCS to FBS. I want to jump from Group of 5 to the Big Ten or SEC. Like, there's a lot of people in the portal looking to improve their situation. So teams are, I think teams are going to see this and go, okay, like, there's guys in the portal. And Tennessee is the type of program, and I don't know how, it remains to be seen how this trickles down to like the lower tier programs. Like, Tennessee is a blue blood program, so they can afford to call the bluff, because they can just go in the portal and say, okay, well, we'll just get the next guy, and we got guys behind him, so bye. You weren't that good anyway. You folded like a cheap suit in Columbus last year anyway. So they're saying, they're waving bye-bye to him, and they're going, okay, see what you can get. Good luck. And I think this is going to be kind of the new era of it. And so this is one of those deals where, I think this hopefully will prompt the NCAA to finally step up and say, all right, we got to put some guardrails on it. We got to, because the NFL does it. So, if they want to follow the NFL model, they need to follow the NFL model. The NCAA just needs to stop and say, okay, we're going to follow the NFL model, we're going to do it the way they do it. We're going to have a free agency period. We're going to have a contract negotiation period. Those aren't the time to do it. Now, if coaches can get fired, if players want to be professionals, fine. They should be able to get hired, fired, all that good stuff, just like coaches do. And if they want to move around like that, so be it. I think eventually those guys will see that bouncing around to 4 different places in 4 years is going to be more detrimental to their career than not. And so this is interesting. And you're going to see a lot of turnover. So I said in the instant reaction, don't get used to players. Don't try to learn these players, because the vast majority of them are probably going to be hitting the portal. They're probably going to be seeking NIL stuff. Like, don't get attached to the stars on your team. Like, I think with the greediness of agents, the greediness of people that are advising them, I just think it's gonna continue to spiral, because those people, I don't want to say guys, but those people are going to be in their ear saying, hey, you should look at Colorado. Like, let's go play for Coach Prime. But I think, you're worth $4 million. Like, you should do it. And if they don't give it to you, just quit. Right. And that's bold, because there's no consequences for it in college football. In the NFL, if you just quit, well, you got to buy yourself out of your contract, and the team holds your rights, and the team can choose in the NFL not to let you out of your contract. That's what they did with Le'Veon Bell. They said, okay, you can quit. You're still going to be under contract with us. We're not going to release you until your contract expires. And so you're going to ride this thing out. You're just going to have to sit out, because we're not trading you. We're not cutting you. We're going to hold your rights. So the teams could hold them hostage. In college football, there's no such thing. There's no such control. So this is going to be crazy. And this is going to be one to follow, as Nico, as this thing takes a turn. It'll have a ripple effect, right? Whatever happens to him will have a ripple effect. Now, is he going to sign somewhere for $4 million? Selfishly, for college football, I hope not, because this is going to reward that behavior of just quitting whenever you see fit. And he did, technically he didn't do anything wrong. There's no regulation to it. So technically he didn't break any rules. He didn't do anything wrong. It's just ethically terrible. And I think that's what people are all bent out of shape about. It's just ethically terrible. Like, you're just seeking money. And NFL teams, I guarantee you, are taking note of this situation and seeing what happens. And I guarantee you it's going to be buyer beware for whoever gets him. I hope they're ready for it. And I hope they don't cave and give him what he demanded at Tennessee. I really, really don't, because this is one of those scenarios where if he's right, then I think that affects college football. I'm not saying if he gets his money, good for him, right? If he gets his money, good for him. I don't hate that idea of getting what you're worth. That's not the idea that I hate. What I don't like is that college football will turn into a complete blank show because of this situation. If that were to happen, guys are going to be, it's a copycat deal. Dudes are, there's going to be 18-year-olds that are going to pull this crap. They're going to come out of training camp, the number 2 on the depth chart. They're all going to quit, and you're not going to have a team. Like, it's going to, when is it going to slow down? Like, there's got to be some sort of penalty. Like, if he wants to quit, leave, and whatever, and they want to buy him out, great. Have a buyout, have a financial penalty for whoever, have them have to pay the university and then pay your quote. Like, that's okay. That's fine. Like, have some sort of penalty for that somebody has to pay, or maybe the player has to pay. Maybe the player has to buy himself out of the contract, and the team can do whatever the team that's going to receive him can do whatever they want as far as recouping that money. But make the player have to give back the contract. I mean, there's a bunch of different scenarios, and there's a bunch of people that you could get in a room together, much smarter and more brilliant than myself, to come up with a somewhat fail-proof regulations to be able to put some guardrails on the portal and NIL and make it to where it's efficient, it's effective, and it benefits the players and it benefits college football. That's what we want. If we have things that are mutually beneficial, the product will be amazing. That's why the NFL is the greatest sport in the world. The way they handle their rosters, the way that it's a great product, and it's a worldwide product for a reason. They have a lot of guardrails. It is very detail oriented. It is very structured, and it's amazing. And there's a reason why they're so successful. College football needs to follow that if they're going to follow it. So anyway, but we'll keep our eyes on this. More to this. This is unfolding. This will unfold by the day. So we'll continue to whatever's relevant to Vandy is going to be. But Vandy being such a player in NIL, this is going to be interesting. All eyes are on this. There's an implication. There's a specific implication for Vandy later on. Just don't know what exactly that is just yet, because not enough has happened to really kind of determine that. But Vandy got a huge commitment from Karaijus Hayes, defensive back. We'll talk about him. We'll break him down next. All right. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Well, between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, probably betting on FanDuel, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances to see where all that money's going. It isn't just a budgeting app. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. Think about that. It's like just right there. Like, you can track all your accounts, investments, spending all in one place. So you just stop managing your money and start building wealth. Not talking about rich, talking about wealth, right? So there's when I started using Monarch, I realized how much I was spending on food delivery. Now I budget smarter and save more. It's all in one convenience, man. Instead of juggling multiple apps, going from Bank of America to Monarch to all my mutual funds, Lincoln Financial, I just use Monarch to track all that, track all my spending. I can even plan long-term goals too. So it's great. And managing money with my partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts. You can set goals. You can stay on the same page without all the stress. And with stress comes fighting, and nobody wants that. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. All right. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. If you need a second listen, Locked On SEC. That's a great place to start. A lot of guys in the SEC are going to be getting drafted over the course of this NFL draft with the 3-day extravaganza. I think it's in Green Bay this year. So make sure you check out that. Make sure you also check out Locked On NFL Draft, all the NFL draft coverage that they have. It's going to be outstanding. Second to none, really, is what happens. That's how we do things around here. Second to none. If you watch any of the bracket breakdown, I'm going to reiterate, second to none, right? So make sure you make those two places your next listen. And, of course, the whole family of SEC shows, Locked On Ole Miss, Locked On Gators, Locked On Auburn, Locked On Mizzou. Just follow the schedule. But Vandy picks up a huge commitment this past weekend, and you probably didn't know about it. I don't know why, because it probably got lost in the shuffle of Nico, Iamaleava's NIL situation, the spring game. The Vandy boys getting their butts handed to them. The tragedy that happened at LSU with Kyron Lacey. There's the Masters. There's a lot of reasons why you probably missed this. And Well, he had a official visit, and he chose Vanderbilt over Michigan State and Georgia Tech, both of whom he had scheduled official visits with. He said, no. All right, he's from Sarasota, Booker High School to be exact, and he holds offers if he wants to do anything with them: Colorado, Illinois, Iowa, Louisville, Miami, Mizzou, SMU, Wake Forest, and West Virginia. So he chose Vandy. Now, he's 5'11", 170 pounds, and he's probably either going to play safety or the star position. And he had 124 total tackles, 20 of those for loss. He had a sack, a pick, and 4 pass breakups. Looks like he is somebody that's going to play down near the box. So I think the star position is going to be perfect for him. I think he's probably a little bit more athletic version of a Nick Rinaldi who's going to play there. Brandon Fontenette will probably play there. It'll be a situational thing, I think, with this defense. So I think he's going to fit just perfectly in there. And so, he's the 4th commitment for the 26 class. And he is, I really like this. He's fast. He doesn't have a public verified time in the 40 or 100, but he's a track guy, and he's a physical guy. He loves to hit. So I think playing near the box will suit him just well. So this is, again, adding pieces to the defense, and when you can do that, it really helps you build some sort of culture down there. But he's going to play close to the line of scrimmage. He can, and just because he likes to hit, just because he's going to play the star position, doesn't mean he can't cover. Like, he can run with guys. Like I said, he's a track guy. The first play of his, you should go watch his junior season highlights, by the way. They're a treat. He plays deep safety. He plays down near the box. He's kind of what I really like about him is his versatility. I mean, he can play the deep safety position where he comes over and he covers as a single high safety and just absolutely decleats people. He's somebody that can also play down near the box. And in high school football, that's kind of where your best guy needs to be, especially your best tackler. He needs to be down near the line of scrimmage because that's where all the action's happening in high school football, right? You're not, as a deep safety, you're probably not getting much action. So he's probably, a lot of times, unless the team is just really good and a really kind of an air it out type team, his talent's really just kind of wasted back there. So, a lot of these guys have that ability to play down low and play that star position, which is great. The versatility, again, is very, very welcome. But to be able to, and that's the name of the game in a Clark Lee slap. It's really a Clark Lee defense, but a Steve Gregory running it. And that's what they look for in the NFL too. Steve Gregory played in the NFL. He was actually the guy on the other end of the butt fumble when Mark Sanchez ran into his offensive lineman's rear end. Steve Gregory was there to pick it up. That's a little fun fact for you guys. But in this defense, it's going to require a lot of versatility, and with that comes a lot of responsibility, and comes a lot of creativity that you have within your scheme. So this is very, very exciting. But what's also very exciting is that Mark Byington picks up a guard that fills in that Jason Edwards role very, very nicely and can play a little defense too. So we'll talk about that coming up next. All right. You can get the supplies you need from the site made for skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Well, Supply House offers expert support and an industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for the trade pros looking for that extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it is your turn. So join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. All right, we are wrapping up the show quickly. Time flies when you're having fun, right? Time flies when you're talking NIL because you could go on and 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 on about NIL. So, Frankie Collins, we touched on this a little bit in the instant reaction. Didn't really get a chance to talk about it in depth, but I think a lot of people are skeptical of this. Some people are excited. I think people look at the stats and are like, they look at the injury and like, well, people are probably, again, very worried, cautiously optimistic might be a better term for a lot of people. But, he had a broken foot, had to have surgery, had to miss the rest of the season in October, didn't play a whole lot, but this is a guy that I think is ready to take that next step, and he's going to have a full healthy season. I think with broken bones, those things usually typically rehab pretty well. So he doesn't have to worry about that now. He's just going to continue to develop, right? And so just being able to get on the court and play fires him up. But anyway, it's I really like this situation because this dude is, and I did a little bit of a breakdown. These are my brief takeaways from this commitment. But he's a great fit for Mark Byington's scheme because he's a creator, right? He's a creator. He's a guy that plays really well in transition. He's a guy that will score at the rim. He's a guy that will also, help you out and get you in the right spots defensively, especially in transition. He's a guy that can run the floor and really just kind of take this whole team, I use the idiom, grab the bull by the horns. He's essentially going to do that. And the leadership that he's going to provide for this squad is going to be second to none. And he's going to run the show for it. He's going to be the ultimate facilitator. He's going to be the scorer. And I don't think they're going to have to lean on him to make shots because, again, he's not consistent on that. But, he's going to have a lot of assists. He's going to have a lot of finishes at the rim, and he's going to get his guys in position. He's going to be able to be that I was about to say field general, but he's going to be able to be that court commander where he's saying, hey, you here, you there, set it up. And he's going to be able to run this offense very effectively, very efficiently. And he's very unselfish, which is great. And this quote right here that I really like that Collins said, he said, I take some pride in defense. I love to pick up 94 feet, or even if I'm picking up in the half court, I just love to put pressure on the ball and make ball handlers uncomfortable. I feel like I can move my feet really well. I feel like I have really good hands. I just really love defense. Then he went on to say, I just got to a point where I asked coaches on my staff, who's the best player? Can I guard him? I'm just trying to guard the best player every single night. If that doesn't fire you up, because in order to succeed in college basketball, you do have to have some sense of defense. Because, if you can pick a guy up at 94 feet and make things uncomfortable, teams can't pull up. Like I think against Oklahoma, against Tennessee in the game that they lost, I think there's teams that were able to shoot Vandy out of the gym. Florida was definitely one of them, and Florida proved to do that to every single program and every single team they played en route to a national championship. So that one makes a little more sense because they are elite. And elite, it doesn't matter. It wouldn't have mattered if they had Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and Shaq against. Well, actually, it probably would have. But Florida was an elite team this year, and there wasn't a whole lot anybody could do about it. So, but nonetheless, it may have been a better game. I think Vandy could have sneaked out 2 or 3 extra wins if they had a backcourt defender that could stop the offense from running smoothly, stop guys from shooting threes and making back-breaking shots and threes and things like that. Like I think there's some things that could have been handled on the defensive end of the floor that could have probably stymied a few scoring runs. that would have helped this team probably not lose momentum in a lot of those games, like Oklahoma. Something about Vanderbilt getting slobber knockered in Norman is not a good trend. I'll say not a great trend. But again, I love this because that quote about defense. Love a defensive-minded player. Love that. That means you're unselfish. I love the fact that he's going to be a facilitator. I love the fact that he's not going to jack up a bunch of threes. Hopefully he doesn't think. Hopefully he knows he can't do that. And just somebody that's going to score. You know, Jason Edwards did all the scoring, but wasn't really great on defense. Thought he was a three-point shooter. Was not. Very inconsistent as a shooter. You know, when it comes to mid-range jumpers, his field goal percentage is pretty abysmal. I think Frankie Collins, I hope he realizes that he's not a pure shooter, and he gets to the bucket, gets to the line, gets his points and assists that way. Maybe he'll get some double doubles where he goes, 12 points, 10 assists, and we'll take that. So anyway, well, that's all the fun we have, right? NIL, man, it's going to be crazy, and there will be specific implications for Vandy very, very soon. It may happen a year down the road. It may happen sooner than that. We don't know. But all I know is that it seems like all the major players for Vanderbilt are very happy in their situations. Diego Pavia, Brandon Fontenette, those guys. So it seems as right now they are very content with what's happening with their situation. So that being said, I got something in my eye, by the way. We hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll see you back here next time on the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Peace and anchor.